Alright guys, so the time is finally upon us to go ahead and turn the TFC Protectobots into their combined mode. But before we do that, let's actually talk about some of the extra parts. Now, this extra part here is actually used for two things. It's either used to bulk up his leg mode or turn him into arm mode. The thing about arm mode is every single one of these guys, well, save for Hotspot, has the two modes, the arm and the leg. I think personally it looks silly when Blades is a leg. I guess it's okay when First Aid is. It's very simplistic and straightforward to turn every one of these guys into a leg. The arm modes are a little more complex. Hotspot's instructions do have the instructions for Streetwise to turn into an arm mode utilizing these extra pieces here. But Groove is surprisingly not found anywhere as far as I can tell. So yeah. Like I said, everyone can be turned into an arm, but I'm actually only going to show the, cartoon accurate Defensor, which is Groove and Streetwise's legs and Blades and First Aid as arms. If you want to see the combined modes, I know there's a couple pictures out there otherwise, but honestly, I think that this set works best, especially given the accessories, if we do it in the standard layout. So this is pretty much just going to be used to fill pieces of Streetwise in. Now the next part are these little adapters here, and let me tell you how much of a hellish nightmare these things are. I'm trying to find one here. It's really tough to see, but that is stress marked because these are so ridiculously tight to try to get on. Well, of course, now that they're stress marked, they're not so bad, but yeah, you basically put them on there, and then what it's designed to do for the guns of Streetwise and Groove is sit there right on the outside of their feet there. And frankly, I don't actually think it looks good. I do have pictures at the end. If I don't, I'll splice in the video. But yeah, you basically, okay. Essentially, this is Streetwise in his leg mode. And you take the two guns of his, and I don't have his two guns here, but they just sit here right off the side, and I don't think that actually particularly looks good. Combine it with how ferociously difficult it is to get these things on, and these end up just staying in the bag for me. And it's a shame, because pretty much every single gun that has come with these guys is just going to sit to the side. Now the final little mystery pieces are these little gray bits here. And I had no idea what these were for, and they're very easily missed, actually. On the Hotspot instructions, they don't even tell you, but they just kind of sit right here on this little control panel. I guess they're supposed to swing out and be like a nozzle, or I have no idea what exactly this is supposed to be. That said, they get in the way in the modes, and they're not held in super strong. So in lieu of losing them, they're just going to sit in the box because they don't really add much to the vehicle. So let's get started with getting these guys actually into their combined mode. Alright, so we'll start with Groove here, and he's pretty simplistic. Except things do get a little bit difficult. Pretty much what you need to do is take the car like this and separate this down. The problem I have is sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get the front end of the car to stay, in some kind of recognizable shape once we get Hotspot's leg in here. But for the most part, you put that in. We gotta make sure this thing is rotated around for ease of use. I have rotated everything into its proper position prior to starting this video. And once we put them on, there we go. We've got Hotspot, Streetwise, I almost said Groove, as a leg. Now, I said that this part here is an extra bit to kind of fill this in. It's really simplistic. All you do is take this, and you see the two slots here and the two tabs here. Take that and plug it in together, and you'll see it kind of bulks up the leg of Streetwise here. So that's what you're left with. Groove is probably the most simplistic of the bunch. Once again, make sure our port's in here. Rotate this guy on down, and simply take these leg sections, or front wheels I should say, and take them and fold them all the way down like this, so you make a really weird looking four-wheeled vehicle. And then we take this and we plug it on in, and there we go. We have groove in his leg mode. First aid is slightly more complicated. Now the instructions do tell you to have this thing facing out. That's if you want to kind of put something on his arm, some kind of cannon there, you can have that flat. Either way, it doesn't matter, whatever your aesthetic preferences prefer. So take this, we're gonna unpeg this stuff like that. And get this, kind of like we're going to his robot mode here. Fold these down here, like so. And like so. And extend out his legs. We can now take the ambulance and put the front end right back together like this. Smart thing to do is to take his combiner port and rotate it 90 degrees. And then we'll split his legs here just for making it easiest to fold these panels on in so it's plugged in properly. Like that. Now we'll go ahead and recombine all these together like so. And it'll be this arm. So just like that. And then we'll take his hand, if we can find it in the mess of parts, and plug that right on in down there. And there we go, we got first aid as a hand. So Blades probably has the most complex of the transformations, and we're going to just take the blades off just because it's easiest to work with that way. We're going to extend out the back part of the helicopter here and go ahead and split that. Now I've already gone ahead and put the little black piece in. If you didn't, it's probably on the hand here. And yeah, so we'll get that. The actual arm gets transformed by almost starting to turn him back to his robot mode. We open these doors here, like so. Fold these little red panels back down again. Now, we're gonna split this here, like that. And this pretty much forms the basis of our arm here, like this. And what we're gonna do from here, so the instructions tell you to take the front of the helicopter off, and then we rotate, and this is a little tough to do, you may actually have to separate these to make it easier, but take these and rotate them into the lower position, just like you're going to be going to his robot mode. It's just a little bit complicated because these tabs still have to stay on the inside, and then this folds right back up and back in position like so. And these little panels do seem to get in the way a little bit. So now what they want you to do is just to kind of take this and put this up at the top like this, and I guess you can rotate his head this way if you want. But yeah, it's really supposed to just kind of sit up like that. I don't particularly like how that looks personally, but it does give you the best range of motion. For me personally, I leave his head like this, down, and kind of get this thing as best as I can to fold up like that. Again, it does limit his posability because you can see his combiner port there. But for me, I think that ends up looking the best, and you can kind of move this out of the way to get a little more range of motion. But there we go, we've got his arm here, and we'll just go ahead and plug this on in. And there we go, we've got blades in his arm mode, and if you want this, you can of course attach it on the side there. So yeah, no big deal. And finally we've got Hotspot, who is definitely the most difficult to transform. So we're gonna start by taking this off, and you really don't have to, but in my opinion it makes it easier. So we're gonna rotate this just like we're going to his robot mode, and we'll just take this and put it to the side for now. Next, we're gonna work with, well, let's get this black panel off. And this is actually one of the first steps they tell you to do. They tell you to kind of just leave it here with the whole ladder on. This is why I recommend you take it off, just for ease of use. Next, we're going to take these silver panels off of the side here and fold it up again, exactly like we're going into his robot mode. Fold them on up. There we go. And fold this up. And again, exactly like robot mode. There we go. So we got that going on. The next thing to do is split these legs. And once we have that split, we can actually get these flaps folded up too. Again, also just like robot mode. So the next thing to do is to take his feet here and kind of swing them around on this peg and just kind of put these little pieces of the truck on the red piece here. So it's a little bit tough because this is a stiffer joint, just like that. Now that we got that, fold this black piece down here and rotate it all the way around the other side. Hopefully yours doesn't pop off just like mine did, but if it does, it's okay, it's just the friction connection. So we'll take that and we'll actually pop that on out. And now comes kind of the tricky part here. So what we want to do is telescope his leg on in. You can see his combiner peg comes out as we telescope it in, and push until it pops. It's going to be important to keep that in mind because it's probably going to push back in when we try to actually combine things with him. So just remember how that joint works. And then we can take that and we can fold his leg up sideways, finally making use of that joint that tends to go on its own anyway. So once again, take this. And the hardest part about this is just because you have so many panels and flaps and stuff, it's hard to find a good spot to grip it and actually, you know, apply a force to it without feeling like you're going to break a panel off. Once you get it in place, you'll pop off his skirt panel. But there we go. We got that. And let me get that skirt panel and we'll cut right back. Alright, so the skirt panel is in place. Let's actually bring this on up and we can work on the top end of the robot here. So you're going to take this, flip it around the other way, and bring this on down like so to plug it into position. And we'll come to the top and we're going to split this. Now this is by far where things get the most complicated with the Defensor combined mode here. So what you want to do is flip these down like so. Then we're going to bring these black pieces on back up just like this. And you kind of want something handy like a knife or something, because sometimes it's really difficult to get in there and actually get these little gray pieces across. I've actually given mine a little bit of oil. They seem to move a little bit better, but even then still sometimes I need the extra help of a knife or something. So once you got that, we're going to go ahead and disconnect these black panels and bring the back of the fire truck to the back here. Whoops, disconnect that panel. And then these guys fold on down and into these holes here. But in the process, we also need to move this black strip out of the way, which is just on that little joint there. So just like that. And now we're officially at what is the hardest part about this. So I think that this is the part where we want these little black pieces to be out. And what you want to do is get this up so it's actually on top of the other piece. First time I did it was really difficult, and then I learned the trick to actually make it happen. So what you want to do is flip it in like this, and then that's going to allow that black piece to kind of swivel, or I'm sorry, the gray piece, swivel like that. Once we've got that, now, I said the last part was the hard part. Technically this is the hard part. So what you want to do is, you want to hold the two pieces of the arm down, and I find with these little pieces out, it kind of ramps the black piece over that peg there. And then I haven't found any good way to do this aside from actually put a little pressure on here and bring that up. And then you can plug it in. So if there is an easier way and somebody knows it, please let me know, because it doesn't feel right to actually be applying that force on the plastic, but I don't see any other way to do it. So once again, bring that down like that. Give this a little bit of a lift over the peg there and peg it on in just like that. And we'll leave these black pieces up. And the only thing left to do right now is get these combiner ports out on both sides. There we go. And then the final bit, take this back piece, which has plugged itself in magically, pull this out, swivel it around at the swivel there, and then kind of clip it in there. And then we can clip this on, and you can see the ladder is just going to sit right there, and we got the body. So in the usual TFC Energon combiner manner, we're going to get this guy all pegged together. I find it's easiest to put a finger behind the leg here, so when you're actually pushing these on in, you can kind of keep this from going on in the best you can. And see what I was saying, like when it comes to the front of the car, you start banging the panels of the truck against the front face of the car. So you kind of have to have this angled one notch like that. That's the only way I've really found that seems to make it work pretty well. But there we go. We clip that on in, you know, in usual Energon combiner fashion. Well, I wouldn't say usual Energon combiner fashion, because Energon combiners don't hold together well. But in TFC's version of the Energon combiner, it holds together just fine. So once again, put my hand behind that joint there and plug this on in. And there we go. We've got two legs. That is mostly dead solid, I want to say. Not quite perfect. Man, I really hate those panels. But we'll get to what's not perfect about this guy pretty soon. As we turn our attentions to the top of the robot, this part is actually a little bit difficult because of the way these ports like to slide on in. So do your best you can to hold them in place without knocking the whole combiner over. There we go. And plug it on in just like so. And most likely you'll be rearranging every single panel as you plug things in. So let's take blades here. And once again, there we go. He actually went in nice and easy. And let's just clean everything that we've popped up back together. And we're good to go. So here we've got our defensor. We're going to take the final piece here, which is the ladder. We'll come around to the back, and you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Just plug it right on in there. And there we go. We've got our TFC defensor. Now the weakness in this guy is A, all the panels that will pretty much every time you adjust something come undone. And B, I don't know if you can see it, but he has this tendency to lean a lot. That's because the ratchets in his feet here are super weak. They're not very strong, so his weight, and there's a lot of play between clicks on this one. So when you set him down, he has this tendency to, you know, kind of wobble and shift a whole bunch. But, I mean, once you get him in place, he does stand perfectly secure. Now, one thing my buddy Bobby showed me is that he didn't particularly care for this blue piece. Now, I've gone ahead and loosened mine mostly for ease of use on the camera, but all it's held on by is 3 pegs here. So if you like the cleaner defensor look, you certainly can do that. And I do think that without it, it for whatever reason, like, kind of diminishes the chin strap. I almost want to say that the chin strap doesn't quite look as bad in person as it seems to in pictures. I think the mouth actually doesn't Photoshop well, and it just makes him look like he has a really weird grin on. But that said, I still think the head is a little bit weaker than the rest of the robot. But yeah, that is an option. You can take this off if you feel compelled. So a quick articulation check on this guy. He's got a ball jointed head, so plenty of motion there. No down, but you know, par for the course on combiners. When it comes to the arms, you of course get the 180 here. Because of the transformation, this ends up moving more than these ratchets tend to move, but you can get a pretty good side to side out of his arm, although he will crash his face and activate the crash test mode on first aid in the process. Of course, you get the elbow swivel, the actual elbow by the legs, and the wrist swivel. As you come down here, you do have a waist swivel. Very nice, very functional. Down to the legs. Finally, the big beefy legs that were on Hotspot actually don't feel nearly as strong. It's that little joint that always would pop, but they work just great. Forward, back, of course. The combiner ports, beefy, give you plenty of knee movement there, though it does look a bit silly when it starts disconnecting like that. And then the foot, you saw that rocker in and out and back and forth in both directions. So overall, he's going to give you the articulation you need. You just are going to need to probably fix some panels afterwards. So let's actually bring in one of the other TFC combiners here. He is next to Superion, and you know, I think that looks really good. I actually really like the proportions of Defensor over the much skinnier Superion, who has his own problem standing. Yeah, so let's get to one last thing that's a problem. So this is the Hotspot gun. You go like this, and it's supposed to make a gun for Defensor, and it has all these little pegs that, you know, we could tightly add other guns to and kind of make some like super mode gun, but nothing feels super compelling about doing this. I can do it, but I don't like how it looks. I really wish that I had, you know, regular Hotspot guns or something for this guy to give him the G1 Defensor guns. So, basically, in summary, the two things I want to see fixed from another company: give me a new head for Defensor, and give me some guns that he can use. It's pretty cool. If you want, you can, you know, attach various things onto his wrist here. I don't know necessarily what looks best, but if you want to, you certainly can. I just don't think that that looks amazing. I really would rather see some guns that are Defensor's guns for this guy. So maybe Dr. Wu or SXS. SXS did a great head for Superion. An awesome head for that KFC Ultra Magnus. So, you know, give Defensor a crack and let's get some new guns on him. And then I don't have to kind of fudge something with this, which just doesn't look good to me. So, overall, I think it's a really good set. I think it's probably TFC's best combiner to date, aside from the feet. You know, if they do any more like the Stunicons, maybe they'll learn from these feet and we'll have better feet. But other than that, I think it looks awesome. It looks like Defensor. I really can't complain. Check it out if you want. And honestly, let me tell you this. This is the second time I filmed this review. The first time I filmed it, I wasn't terribly happy with it. But after messing around with it more and, you know, kind of more meticulously putting them together, he's definitely one of the better combiners. Feral Rex may still be better, but I'm not sure. We'll see. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you guys next week.